All right, so this is my submission for the Ubisoft Next programming competition. So we got the game up right now, just on the title screen. So we can press A to start, and the controls are on the top left. The player can move around by using either the joystick or the D-pad, and then shoot with A. These X's are the first type of enemy, and they simply just try and reach the end of the tunnel. These purple ones are the second type, and they switch once they get halfway up a tunnel. They'll randomly go to a new tunnel. And then there's also red ones, and they take 4 shots to kill, so they're a bit of a tank. Um, so you get points for killing the enemies. The X's, they're the easiest ones to kill, so they give you the least points, and the red ones are the hardest to kill, so they give you the most points. Similarly, that's how much they take off your health, so the X takes the least amount, and the red ones take the most health off. The player can also get to the other side by pressing right bumper and flip into the opposite side of the level. Once you get down below 50% health, you'll start seeing some health spawns. When you shoot those gives you 15 points of health. If you have 100 points of health already, because they can still spawn then, it's just way less likely, they'll give you 20 points to your score instead. The enemies will randomly spawn into any of these tunnels, and as the time goes up, they'll spawn more frequently. Until you are at 0% health, and once that happens, the game will be over. So let's see here if I make it to get there's some health. So a couple health there, so I can keep going. And then again, once you die, it will just bring you to the end screen and show you the amount of time you lasted for and the amount of points you got. Um, yeah, all the enemies are controlled in the enemy manager, and it's what detects collisions. The collisions are really just how close active enemies are. So it pools all the enemies beforehand, and then when they get spawned, they go into the active enemy list, and then after that, the game just on updates runs through to see how far away they are from any bullets that are active, and the bullets are controlled by the player. And then if it's close enough, it'll set them to false. It'll set both the bullets and the enemies to false. And then at the end of the update functions in the enemy manager, it'll run through and take any enemies that are set to false out of the active list and return them to the pool so they can be used again. Same with the bullets in the player. Um, all the enemies are, except for the disappearing enemy, so that's the purple one, are under the charge enemies, and they just have flags, whether they're a healer and whether they're a tank. And if they're neither of those, then they're just a regular X. It likely could have been good to use a base class and then build off that, but that's not how I ended up working into this. And by the time I got around to that, it wasn't enough time to get it in, but definitely something to make it more scalable and easier to implement new enemies. And the same thing could be done for the level as long as there was a base class that has some virtual functions that you had to have the outer points, launch points, and spawn points. The launch points are where the bullets come from and where the enemies are trying to get to, and the spawn points are where the enemies spawn from and where the bullets are trying to get to if they don't hit anything. And as long as they had that, then you could just add multiple levels pretty easily. Um, because the player and the enemies mainly use these functions to get their information. So yeah, that's my game. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for checking it out.